clown of the week for this week goes to none other than everybody's favorite wishy-washy politician, Lindsey Graham. Now, Lindsey Graham had initially been on the Trump train when Trump was saying that there was voter fraud and that states were abusing their power, and he actually tried to call Georgia to get votes thrown out, which was unsuccessful. And as unsuccessful as that was, he thought, oh wait, you know what? The Trump train is crashing now with impeachment and then the Capitol riot, and he famously did his whole "count me out" speech, and he's trying to play both sides. He's trying to please establishment Republicans by, saying, well, Trump shouldn't have done that, or there was no voter fraud, even though a couple months ago this guy was saying there was voter fraud. So I want you to be aware of that. That means that either A, he realized he was wrong and repented, which is highly unlikely, or B, he knew that there was no voter fraud the whole time, but he lied just so that he could try to gather more power. And then when that didn't work, now he's backing off. But he went on Fox News with Chris Wallace to talk about how basically it was unconstitutional for Donald Trump to be impeached. But then he follows it up saying that he wants to impeach someone else for something else. Let's see who that person is and why he thinks they should get impeached.
Let me ask about one person that he might be mad at, and tell me if he is or he isn't. Mitch McConnell, who made a curious speech yesterday in which he basically said the president is guilty, but that the Senate doesn't have the power to convict, to act against a former president. What did he think of McConnell's speech? What did you think of McConnell's speech?
I think his speech is an outlier regarding how Republicans feel about all this. I thought the impeachment trial was not only unconstitutional, I condemn what happened on January the 6th, but the process they used to impeach this president was an affront to rule of law. He's the first president to ever be impeached without a lawyer, without a witness, without ability to confront those against him, and the trial record was a complete joke, hearsay upon hearsay, and we've opened Pandora's box to future presidents. And if you use this model, I don't know how Kamala Harris doesn't get impeached if the Republicans take over the House, because she actually bailed out rioters, and one of the rioters went back to the streets and broke somebody's head open. So we've opened Pandora's box here, and I'm sad for the country.
Does Donald Trump bear any responsibility for the attack on the Capitol on January 6th?
No.
Okay, so you want to impeach Kamala Harris for bailing people out of prison. I would laugh if this wasn't I would think this is a joke if it wasn't a senator and wasn't someone who actually has power, and if this wasn't serious. Okay, so we got Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? Saying on day one, I'm going to introduce impeachment articles for Joe Biden, which she did, which, Biden didn't do anything, so it got laughed out of, the articles never were brought up. They got laughed out of the building. And now Lindsey Graham is saying something is equally as ridiculous, saying, oh, I'm going to impeach Kamala Harris because she did a bail fund for people who couldn't afford to pay their bails. And one of those people, when they got out, happened to commit some type of crime. Now, do I know if this person actually committed a crime because they were bailed out by Kamala? No, I do not. And we don't know which bail fund this person was bailed out from. Now, it's possible that it was the one that Kamala was funding and Kamala was telling people to go fund. But bailing someone out of jail is not a crime. It's a totally legal thing. The reason why we have our bail system the way we have it today is so that people will not be sitting in prison long term. And, the Constitution guaranteed that people wouldn't be, basically that their bails wouldn't be set unreasonably high and they wouldn't be denied bail unless they were an extreme danger to society, when they got out, or, if they had, like a serial killer or something, right? You don't want to bail that person out because they might kill more people. That makes logical sense. But, leaving people in jail for marijuana, or even for something like rioting that went on, after George Floyd died, or even the Capitol, I would argue is ridiculous. And I want to be fair. I feel like the people who rioted for Black Lives Matter should be able to get out on bail. I feel like the people who rioted at the Capitol should be able to get out on bail, with some exceptions. Now, the people who were like the guy with the zip ties, for instance, or the people with the firearms who were looking to kill politicians, maybe you could argue, well, those people are dangerous and they might do it again. And be like, okay, that's a fair point. But generally speaking, I feel like everyone should be able to get bail unless they're an extreme flight risk, or they might commit their crimes again. And everyone has the right to a fair trial, even if you have them on camera doing the crime, which you do in the case of the Capitol riot, and you also had in the case of some of the riots that took place after the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. These people should still be entitled to bail. So, now, the system is corrupt, of course, and oftentimes the system gives high bails for petty crimes like, say, marijuana, for instance, right? Somebody smoking weed, they give them a $10,000 bail, but the person makes minimum wage, $7.25 an hour, and they can't afford to pay it. So they just sit in jail until their trial, right? So that's what the bail funds were set up for. They were set up for people who could not get bailed out, who are sitting in jail for unnecessary amounts of time while they wait for their trial. Now, what is it? So, yes, Kamala was supporting these things. Now, do I think her support of it was sincere? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, on the one hand, you could say, well, the Biden administration does seem to be committed to prison reform and furthering social justice. But on the other hand, let's not kid ourselves here. You're talking about the former top cop in California who kept a lot of black men in jail past their sentence dates so that they could effectively do slave labor. Okay. So, and apparently it was over 1,000 people who were kept in jail for mostly petty crimes. Okay. So do with that information what you will. But what Lindsey Graham could be doing is saying, hey, actually Kamala is a hypocrite because she held all these black men in jail past their sentences and had them doing slave labor. But now she's saying she supports a bail fund. But instead of doing that, he's like, oh my God, she's bailing out people and these people in criminal impeach. He's an idiot. Now his argument for not getting Donald Trump impeached was that there was no legal responsibility because what he said was protected under free speech and he didn't directly tell the people to riot at the Capitol. Now, I know a lot of people on the left won't like this, a lot of my fellow lefties, but this is actually holds a lot of weight legally. You can make an argument that Donald Trump didn't directly tell them to do it, and while he didn't take the steps to stop it, that he actually could not be held legally liable for this. So you can make that argument. Unfortunately, I think that in the spirit of the law, he should have been removed from office. But as far as what the letter of the law says, he kind of left himself enough room to weasel his way out of it, right? But if you think that's a flimsy impeachment case, but you're suggesting we impeach Kamala Harris because she bailed people out of jail who couldn't pay their bails, which is a totally legal thing to do, this guy has just lost his marbles. This guy has lost his fucking marbles. He's lost his fucking mind. Now, at first I thought, oh, maybe Lindsey Graham is just catering toward his base because he knows that a lot of Republicans who are Trump supporters, and maybe QAnon conspiracy theories who aren't who aren't that smart, or who are gullible, may want to vote for him if he stands up for Trump or if he says he wants to impeach Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, right? That's what I thought. But the more I listen to what he says, I'm just like, this guy's an idiot. He probably actually believes this stuff. He probably actually believes this stuff. But either way, it's really weaselly, man. Really weaselly of him to just casually throw out impeaching Kamala Harris for nothing. For no crime whatsoever. It's ridiculous. And like I said, he's either the world's biggest idiot and he really believes this shit, or he's doing this for political gain. And just watching the way Lindsey Graham has moved, even though I do think he believes some of the things he says, he's very calculated and he's moved very much for political gain. And even if you listen to the entire Fox interview, which unfortunately I only have the clip, I haven't been able to find the entire thing. If I find it, I'll put it in the description. But if you listen to him, he really does everything in a very calculated manner. And he does it specifically so that he can try to cater to both bases. The problem is he's landing nowhere. A lot of Republicans who were Trump supporters don't like him because of the whole count me out thing. And, you see him getting harassed at the airport, which a lot of those people were put on the no-fly zone, which I don't agree with. Even though they shouldn't have been harassing him at the airport, technically they didn't commit a crime. They were doing freedom of speech, so they shouldn't be on the no-fly zone. But I digress. On the flip side, he's losing conservatives like Mitt Romney and the people who from that wing of the party who are like, well, you were still kind of egging on, voter fraud and these type of things. And now you're saying that we should impeach the vice president, which a lot of people are going to be against because, the people from the Romney wing, they like Biden more than Trump because, the Biden administration has decorum and respect and, all these other things that really don't have shit to do with policy, but people find them important. And so Lindsey Graham is trying to appeal to everyone and he's landing nowhere. And you just end up looking ridiculous, especially when you say things like this, saying Kamala Harris should be impeached for trying to reform the criminal justice system. I mean, that's basically what you're saying. So it's ridiculous. And this behavior by Lindsey Graham warranted him Clown of the Week.